You think your kids are safe because they are in their room or they're on an iPad or they're on an iPhone or they're on a computer. But think again. Modern bullying in 2025, as an 80s baby, I want to really express to you, is absolutely different than the times of which we've grown up. And where this idea or concept really impresses me in this moment to really make this a priority in my episode approach is a movie called Adolescence on Netflix. If you are a parent and you are under the sound of my voice, I am begging you to watch the new TV series, limited TV series on Netflix entitled Adolescence. I want to warn you, it's a 4-part episode, if I'm not mistaken. Moves a little slow, but it's necessary. Why? What we learn is that in modern society, the forms of bullying that are now occurring on a daily basis are far greater than what I think we as parents are willing to accept. And let me explain why. Bullying in 2025 is a 24/7, 365 experience. See, when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, through elementary school, middle, high school, kind of dating myself, bullying only lasted about 6-7 hours during the school day. If that was your circumstance, never for me. Or worse come to worse, it might be on the way to school or coming from school, right? That you might have to cross paths with a potential bully. What that means is still for 3/4 of your existence, considering nights, weekends, holidays, you didn't have to be inundated with the reality of bullying. Because what? You got to put it on pause for 3/4 of your yearly existence. That is not the same in 2025. What? Because of the advancement of the iPhone and an iPad, what? It's 24/7. Now kids, right, are remaining and maintaining school social dynamics 24/7, 365, whether it be nights, weekends, holidays, summer breaks, so on and so forth. And it is so covert, as Adolescence depicts, that bullying is so evolved, they don't even do it with words anymore. What? They do it through emojis. That apparently one emoji can have all of these different meanings that as a parent looks innocent enough to me, but decoded means something entirely different to our young people. And yet even the data shows that the rise of anxiety, depression, suicide among our young people, which is mostly a reality of social media, but also it is largely a function of devices. And this is what the limited TV series on Netflix exposes. It is critically wise and necessary that we as parents stand on guard, because that room, that device, that computer that you think falsely gives them a buffer of security is actually exposing them to the greatest harm. Psychologists have recently discovered that the average teenager in America now has the trauma of a 53-year-old. Why? Because they're exposed to everything early and often. And so now that we understand that social media and devices are a dangerous trap, I really want to focus on the secret to success. And it's this. It's the dinner table. Yeah. Let me say it again. It's the dinner table. That is the cheat code to parenting. What modern society has unfortunately succumbed to is that the most sacred, precious moment we will oftentimes have with our children, family, and friends is the meal table. I learned this about 15 years ago from my late great mentor, the Dr. Miles Monroe, and he shared something with me very important, and I'm mindful of it to this day. He said, Shaun, be very careful and be very selective who you share mealtime with. He said, because what happens when you share a mealtime is a covenant is created. Respectfully, That's the reason why my woman and I do very few double dinner date nights. It's because I'm going to be very cautious and careful who we are in covenant with and who we break bread with, because a covenant or a promise is established. And so ultimately, the dinner table, what does that look like? I know it can be difficult, especially if you have college-age teens, right? That is the reality of 2 of our 5. The third one will be in college this summer. So more of our children will now be in college than who are in our physical presence day to day. But it is still something that you would be wise to fight for. And what that means is no TV on, no devices. For this 15 to 20 minutes, we just going to relate. We're going to talk about what was the peak of your day? What was the pit of your day? Put me on game. What's happening in the world these days? What's your biggest challenge? What's your biggest problem? Here's what we're doing as a family. This is a new venture that we are soon to gain site control over. Let me explain to you, how your trust fund works. Whatever the case, the point of it is a time to establish covenant with your children. Because guess what? If you allow the world and if you allow their friends to raise them, I can promise you that the world and their peer circle are going to lie to them almost every time. But as for me and my house, we're doing things with decency and order. Why? Because I'm not going to let the enemy influence my children wherever possible. And what that means is mealtime needs to be consistent. It's sacred. No TV, no devices. We're going to talk. Why? Because in that 15, 20 minutes, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, whatever's possible. I understand we all got school, sports schedule, but whenever possible, you need to make it a priority, because just that limited 15, 20 minute deposit on a day-to-day basis represents less than 1% of your day, can literally make the difference between life and death as it pertains to your children. And so I want to say this: modern day bullying is 365, 24/7. And yet devices, while there are inherent good, there are a lot of bad, which is both devices and social media have unfortunately eroded not only our society, but especially the family unit, and in particular our young people. Because what? It seems harmless, and yet it's a trap. And what that means is, watching the movie Adolescence, you would be wise, good sir, good ma'am, to do it if you love your children. And I'm going to say it like that. Yep, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. Yep, I'm going to obligate you. Yep, absolutely, in this moment. Do yourself a favor. Despite it moving a little slow, pay attention to the lesson, because life can't all be about fun and games and kicks and giggles. Like, we got to put on our thinking cap. And sometimes we got to move and behave like adults, which is doing what's right because it's right, not because it's easy or convenient. And yet the secret, the world's greatest kept secret, is that mealtime, dinner time, right? That 15, 20 minutes is one of the greatest opportunities to pour into your children, no matter their age, wherein TV and all devices are not allowed at the table. Why? Because it's an opportunity to laugh, share, impart, and learn from each other. Because you would be surprised what your children too can teach you, but you got to give them the opportunity, and that comes through fellowship. So as always, as the founder of Developer Nation, I want you to click the link in the bio to DeveloperNationApp.com, where if you are called to real estate, small scale, large scale, we want to partner with you as it relates to practicing group economics, as it relates to this community that is Developer Nation, where we will educate you, we will equip you, we will empower you, assuming that your project is viable and feasible, where we, through our partnership and direction, will give you the opportunity to meet with our capital partners, wherein from cradle to grave, we too collectively can build generational wealth through real estate. But yet again, it best happens through group economics. It best happens through community. Like, comment, subscribe, follow. As always, all things work together for the good of those that love God and are called according to his purpose. I will see you in the next episode.